I didn't expect to be engaged. It was quite a shock, really. When he came on leave from the Navy, Jim, he said, my mates all said, you get good engagement rings in Hong Kong. Yeah. So I said, oh, can you? And I thought, uh-oh. So we didn't agree on anything. And then next time he came, he definitely got the engagement ring, brought it, and we were in a field. We'd been walking, and there was a gate, and we were both leaning on the gate, chatting. He said, well, will you marry me? So I said, yes, just like that. So, because he ticked all the boxes, you see, all the things I could live with. So that was the engagement sorted. And the wedding was arranged July the 2nd. And it was going to be another year because he had to go back to the Navy. And then when it came to the time, and it was all arranged, it was a church wedding, and it was at St. Chad's. And it went wrong, really, in a sense, because the lady next door to my mum insisted that she could do the flowers. And my mum was very upset, but she said, oh, all right. But once she got the money in her hand, she was alcoholic. So it was all gone. So my bouquet wasn't very as it should be. Oh, but okay. Didn't bother about that. So we all had this wedding reception. And then we went after the wedding. And it was, as I was teetotal, there was no drink at all. But everybody accepted that. And there were quite a lot of people there. And it was nice chatting. You know, everybody was nice. And then we left about 9 o'clock. It was in the summer, so it was still light. And changed into take off my white dress, got into our cycling gear. It was already packed up, and we went cycling for a week. We went through the places we knew, Buxton, and then I think we went into Wales as well. So, because we were going down south. And we just cycled about 80 miles a day. Wow. Came back, and that was it. We were married. Changed from Manchester to Southam, and we went there, and we just lived in a very old house with a very it was 3-story, and we could live in the attic. Now the attic was so old. The first night that we stayed there, it was a family, you know, cousins, up the ladders into the bedroom, into bed. There was nothing there, just a bed, wooden boards, and one of the legs went through the wood.
Through the ceiling?
So you can imagine, they were trying to be polite, but they were teasing us, you know. So that was the wedding night. He went to work there. So every morning we used to creep downstairs. Jim always went first, and I wondered why he pushed me behind. Mm-hmm. Put the light on, and apparently it was just cockroaches all over. Oh. And they all scuttled under the fireplace. And I never knew until after. So I got a job in Leamington with a car manufacturing. I can't remember the name. Lockheed Hydraulic, yeah. And we had to cycle in the morning 8 miles over Edge Hill, which is a Civil War area. So it was quite hilly. 8 miles in, and I went to work at the where I've just said. and he went to the post office, and it was Royal Leamington Spa then. And
Is it still
we
that
were
now?
foreigners.
You were foreigners because
We were foreigners.
you went from Leamington Spa. Yeah.
Where I worked, they were all right because they were different places they'd come from. But it was hard for him because he would be sorting and there's somebody next to him sorting. And then on the Saturday, on the weekends, we'd walk down the parade, it's called, the road, and they just ignored us. It was so sad. So we stuck that for 4 months, back to Manchester. We decided after Manchester we were living with his mum, and that was awful. His mum was, he and his mum didn't get on very well. Similar, probably too much alike, I think. So we stayed there, came back, we were in Manchester, and well, we just stayed with his mum, and then after one of the final rows, she kicked us out. So we went to my mum's. So in the end, we got a council house in a town called, well, it wasn't a town, it was a garden city, Wythenshawe. And
So who came first?
yeah.
Who was first?
Sue was first, and we called her Suzanne because her my my father-in-law was very badly wounded in the Battle of the Somme, and so he was crippled. So he had respite in a little place called Suzanne. So he said, "Will you call her Suzanne?" So I said, "Yeah, of course we will." So she was Suzanne. And she was Jean after a friend of mine. So it was Suzanne, and so Suzanne, and it could have been pronounced Jean, but it wasn't. And the second one was Dave. That was 19 months later. Dave was very quiet, but he was David Graham. Then there was Jeff, was number 3, 19 months later, and he was very bouncy, very full of energy. I knew he was going to be good at sport. And Julie, the baby, was 19 months later. So we had 4 in 5 years.
Wow.
And it was great. I loved it all. I never regretted having them so quickly. So we had this coach built. It was, I can't remember the name of it now. Swan, I think it's called. And it had a well in the middle. It was one of these coach built, and there was a well in the middle. I used it for shopping with one at a time, and each one had to walk as they got and hold the side. But when they got the 4, it was a different story, because Jeff used to sit in the back, and if it was raining, hood up. And then Julie was hugged, no belts in those days, and Sue would sit one side near the handles, with her legs over the side, and Dave would be sitting this side of it. So the 4 were in the pram. The suspension was leather, which didn't last very long because it was quite a few years that we had to, before Julie could walk. And we used to go uphill, downhill, and if it was raining, hood up. If it was nice, we had our canopy with a fringe on the top. And we used to walk to the shops up a hill. And when we got to the bridge at the top, I used to think, oh, don't let there be a train if it was raining. Of course there was. And I'd hope they wouldn't see it. Oh, Mummy, look, there's a train. And it was miles off. So I would stand there getting soaked because they'd got an umbrella and the hood. So that was the carried in the car. That was my transport everywhere. Yeah.
And you used to leave us outside shops when you
Oh
went?
yeah, I could leave them all sitting still to go in the shop and quick near the window and on the door I could see. You could leave anything outside. Nobody took anything. They went out to whatever the weather. Those in the pram that slept, they were outside, except for fog. That was the only thing they put them in. And of course, everybody was the same. All the prams were parked outside. Yeah.
Getting weather.
Yeah.
And all the women after the war stayed at home to look after the children.
Yeah. I stayed home 20 years. But I used to I think I worked as hard as anybody who was working and had the kids minded. Because there were still war work afterwards. I'm sure I worked as hard because I made all the clothes, did all the cooking, all the housework, took them out walks into the park, and I did everything. And also the girls went to dancing lessons. So that meant I was also making costumes as well. I used to make the costumes for the little chorus, which they were all in. They were in, and it was nice to do, but sometimes the dancing teacher, she used to leave it till the last minute. And when Sue and Julie Sue was dancing and Julie was in the pram, I used to be playing with her while on a croft on the other side of the road. The two boys would be kicking a ball about, so I'd join in with that. And I was knitting at the same time. I never stopped.